Hi, I'm Yasmin Furmie. For those of you who don't know me, I am very well known in fashion circles. I have a brand with my best friend Cynthia. We have a brand called Sissy the Collection. We do white shirts, black shirts, a very sort of contemporary, classic brand, really meant for anybody. I'm also a very big proponent of women doing the things that they love without apologizing. Women of every age, or people of every age, actually doing what they want to do, doing it with passion. And I'm also very outspoken about the sort of constant emphasis on youth only in whether it be campaigns, whether it be in fashion shoots. And so I'm extremely honored and appreciative that I'm involved in something like this because I'm 60 years old and I want everybody to know that you can do what you like at any age.
How do I even ask another question after that? That was beautiful. But then, so where did you grow up? And how was your childhood?
I grew up in a place called Riverlea. It's southwest, I guess, of Johannesburg. From a very mixed family, Indian. My mum is mixed, black, colored, white. I mean, there's what they always call a mixed masala in South Africa. So I grew up there and went to school in Westbury at St. Barnabas. And at 15, my parents decided to move to Australia. And I spent a while there doing my last years of high school and university. And then I traveled and came back to South Africa.
Nice. And then you worked as a social worker for a while before being a stay-at-home mom. Do you think that, you could have pursued a fashion career much earlier on in your life?
I would have loved to have pursued a fashion career much earlier in my life because I think I've always been somebody obsessed with beautiful things, with whether it's clothing, whether it's shoes, just the beauty of the everyday. So I think definitely I would have wanted to go into fashion, but I don't think at the time that I was heading to university that was actually an option because I think anybody going into the sort of creative field, you were always discouraged. You'd never make money, you need to do something that's stable, the usual things that parents tell their children. So for me, I didn't go into the sort of law teaching doctor, but it was the traditional female thing of going into social work. And I can't say I didn't enjoy it, I did, but there was always a longing to do something else.
And is this a lot more fulfilling now that you're here and into something that I could call it a calling of yours?
Look, I don't know if you can ever say it's a lot more fulfilling because I think in the journey of our lives, we are fulfilled by what we do at the time we're doing it. We may hanker after something else, but I think part of our growth and part of who we become is doing sometimes what we don't necessarily plan to do, but what actually suits us. I think I was a very good social worker. I'm very good with people. I'm very good with seeing how structural issues affect people, and you have to be very good at doing that when you're a social worker. But then you move into another phase of your life, and the thing that you are passionate about becomes the thing that fulfills you at that time. And who knows what else happens after this.
I love that because you're layered as a person. You keep, revealing parts of yourself that you enjoy. But also, where does this come from? Who inspired this love of fashion in your family? Who was the stylish person that you looked up to?
I always used to say my father was the stylish person, but I think I had a family of stylish people. And I think as South Africans, we generally have families where you can definitely look back. You can say your grandmother, your mother, your father, aunt. There's always somebody who was trying their hardest to look good. I grew up in a time when, apartheid was at its height, where people were always told how they were instead of how you actually felt. They were always being demeaned, always being put down. And I think we all used clothes. I was a child then, but I looked at my mom and dad. You use clothes as a means of, showing how positive you are, how other people see you is not how you see yourself, that you have pride, that you have dignity. And I think that goes a lot into what the culture of fashion is in South Africa. So there's always been somebody stylish in my family.
Love it. And then in your household, you've got two grown kids and your husband. I mean, I watch your TikToks. Sometimes you borrow from your kids.
Yeah.
So who's the most stylish in your household? Except for you, of course.
I would say that, look, my husband is stylish in his own way. He's very classic. He's very conservative.
Yeah.
But he's the type of person who sticks to a particular brand and he doesn't veer away from that. I think my son and my daughter have their own personal styles that are not necessarily, reflective of me, but definitely they are both incredibly stylish people. My son, for his sneakers, no one can beat him.
Lovely. Okay, so I think, we're at a place where in Africa, there are so many amazing designers that are coming out. Some have long been there and doing amazing work, but I just feel like the world is now looking into Africa for fashion. And I mean, we've seen how some have been appropriating, African culture into establishing their own brands, or rather, amplifying their own voices. What do you have to say about this?
So I think it's been, all these sorts of exchanges, appropriation, whatever you call it, influence, has been going on for a long time. I think there's always been taking from the continent, whether it's Africa, whether it's Asia, because I think they go in sort of phases. At the moment, Africa has the spotlight. The African continent has always had a lot to do with fashion and had a lot to do with what has been taken into Europe. In terms of print, in terms of accessories, if you think of gold, if you think of silver, what is very evident on the continent in terms of our sort of bold personality and bold styles, those things have been taken by other designers, and then Africans look at that and go, oh, that's wonderful, but in the meantime, it's come from here. And I think that sort of, the way we sort of look to the global north, it's definitely ending, because people are looking at our continent for the, for what's new, for what's going on. I think we have to call out appropriation where it happens, because if there's no involvement with communities where influence is taken from, you have to call it out. It's unacceptable. And the thing is that is going to carry on, because brands, in Europe are very powerful. They've got money for lawsuits, they do all that. But where the essence of style and where fashion has come from, it's firmly planted on this continent, and we have to be proud of what's going on here. We have to stop looking at the labels that, yes, we all like nice things, and of course we're going to like the Pradas and the Guccis, but there are incredible things happening here with creativity that is unsurpassed.
Amazing. And also, we see now the rise of these instant fashion boutiques, online. There's something new that they're selling for. It's like instant fashion that is not as classic and as timeless. So what do you think this does to the fashion industry? Do we need these outlets?
I guess the question about whether we need fast fashion is a very complex issue. It's not just, me saying, please don't buy it because it kills the fashion industry. We have to take the economic climate into consideration. There are people who perhaps can't afford local South African designers who may price their things a little bit higher. Something could cost 10,000 Rand, but when some fast fashion online boutique pops up and something is 300 Rand, there's going to be a no-brainer there. So I think the issues have to be a little bit more nuanced in that discussion. But I think what we have to remember is that the layers that go on behind fast fashion, there's often exploitation of workers. And I think when people realize that chain from beginning to end is absolutely exploitative, perhaps they make a different decision about what it is they buy. Even if they buy one thing that's locally produced, instead of buying 10 things that come from China that has a very awful history to it. I would prefer to buy something, one good thing, than worry about how other people are affected by my choices.
Yeah. Okay. So, but how? I mean, if you look at your if we were now to take a tour into your house and look at your closet, how what's the ratio? Like, is it all timeless pieces? Because what we see in designer clothes, I want to see designer clothes. What's the deal there? What can I find that could be accessible to like the next person?
So I've been very lucky in that a lot of people have gifted things to me. That is one thing. I've also collected things over the years. And I'm not saying that I've never bought fast fashion. I've bought stuff from Zara, I've bought stuff from H&M. It's just that as we, grow and know what's going on in the industry, you start making more conscious choices. So I may have bought things from Zara 5 years ago, but I've still kept them. I haven't gotten rid of them. So if you're buying something that's inexpensive, buy something that perhaps you can keep for a lot longer than, say, if you're buying a printed thing that's just of this moment. Next year you don't want to wear it, so it goes off somewhere into landfill, and the environmental impact of that is terrible. But when you are buying things that you can keep, things that are timeless, you can build your wardrobe, around very few pieces. I do have a lot of clothes, I don't deny that. I do like really good quality shoes, I do like really good quality handbags. There are some designer pieces that I buy from Europe, but I'm a keen supporter of South African fashion, and I have a lot of pieces from South African designers.
And who are your 5 go-to local designers that the world should know about?
Wow. 5. Okay, I'm going to go with Tebe because who isn't going with Tebe at the moment? But I have loved Tebe from day one, from the time he did his graduate collection. I've been an absolute admirer of his political sense and how he translates that into his fashion. So it's not just pieces of clothes that he brings out. There is clear and intentful thought that goes on into making his clothes. Definitely Jacques Bam, new designer, but who has an incredibly edgy eye, very creative, love his things, or their things, I should say, because I'm not sure pronouns, but I love their things. Who else? I love Rich Mnisi, I love the boldness, and I love the fact that Rich is incredibly proud of who he is, and it comes out in the clothes that he produces. He's not shy of his sexuality and not shy in bringing that out in what he does. So that's 3. I'm going to say our brand, CC the Collection. Because our brand is timeless, and we have an unusual model, and I think our brand works for people across the board, young, old, whatever gender. So that's 4. I'm trying to think of 5. I mean, I'd hate to think of somebody and I leave somebody else out that I love.
Okay, let's end at 4 then. It's fine.
Yeah, let's end at 4.
Let's end at 4. So Noli Gasa, who's like one of my biggest fashion icons, in the industry. She started going to campuses around South Africa in 2020, I think. Yes. So because there is this thing where creatives are not as empowered in understanding the business of fashion, So you could come up with all these beautiful garments, but you don't really know how to monetize the business side of things. So I think, what advice would you then give to emerging designers who may not necessarily know how to run the business, but have the idea, they've got this big vision for what they want to achieve?
Yeah. So I perhaps am the very wrong person to ask for advice on the business of fashion, but I'll tell you what I've done, and perhaps that works for people, because I think we tend to overthink the things we want to do. We tend to overthink businesses we want to go into, because risk is not a very nice idea, because it's fearful. You don't know what the outcome is going to be. So when I started thinking about what I wanted to do with a business of fashion, I went to my best friend. We decided this is what we were going to do, and we did not even think of a business plan, because there are all sorts of boxes that people want to tick before they actually do something. And I've always said that if you are creative, you just do it. Start off doing whatever it is, whether you're doing an urban wear brand and you're only doing hoodies and t-shirts, and you're going, oh my God, when am I going to get money because I want to produce 50? find somebody who's going to assist you with some finances and start with 3. Social media is an incredible platform to sell your stuff. It doesn't have to be such a overarching thing that you go, oh my God, I can't do this. I need to go to a bank for a loan. There's a whole lot of other ways that you can do this. There are friends, there's family, there's people who can give you advice on how to start something. But when you've got an idea in your head, I think overthinking is the biggest disservice you can do yourself.
Yeah. Speaking of social media, I think a lot of people like myself got to know you via social media, like be it TikTok or Instagram or even like reading through magazines. So how have you been able to monetize your presence as a brand in fashion? Has it been easy? Because I know you've partnered with a number of brands before, and also the establishment of your own label.
Yeah.
But like, has it been easy for you to monetize? Has it been easy to know how to charge even for those kind of campaigns?
Well, in terms of social media and how I started, it was with no intention of ever monetizing my presence. It just so happened that I was incredibly fortunate that people started noticing my unique style, first of all. It took a little while. It was fairly slow in the beginning. I had no idea what was going on. I had no idea what to charge, but I knew there were people in the industry that I could ask. And that has been an incredible help. If you just keep quiet, if you think, oh, well, I'm going to charge this, there are other people who are charging a lot more. There are brands that are willing to pay a lot more. You have to actually speak to people to find out what is going on in the industry. A lot of people sort of, they have closed doors, but there are going to be people who can give you advice. And I just didn't go into social media thinking this is going to be a job for me. It still isn't. It's something that I enjoy doing, and the collaborations and partnerships that happen, quite organically.
And how would you describe the shift in your life, rather the change? How has your life changed in fashion? Or maybe, but how has fashion changed your life? Maybe that's the right way to frame it.
I don't know if fashion's changed my life. I think we are constantly changing, in a sense, in terms of how we feel about certain things. Right now, I'm incredibly, I guess I'm involved with fashion in that sort of sense of, clothes, be it local, be it overseas, or whatever the case is, because I absolutely just love the stories individual items tell when I put them on, when I use them. It tells my mood, it tells what I think about the status of women, it tells what I think in terms of my belief system, in terms of my religion, in terms of my politics. So I'm always going to see fashion as a vehicle for telling incredible stories of who I am. And I think people can take that on board and tell their own individual stories, because fashion is not a copy and paste. We can all wear the same thing, but we can all wear it very differently, and we can all tell very different stories.
And what's the one word to describe your style?
Brazen, brave. I've got many words to describe my style. Unapologetic, loud, in your face, and I take up space.
Love it. I mean, it's very evident in who you are. It's how you walk, how you speak. It's in your expression. But is it something that was always there, or is it something that you had to cultivate as you get older?
Yeah, no. To be bold and to be brazen is not always there. I think we all know what it's like to go through your sort of younger years where you are unsure of yourself. You want to fit in. You don't want to be the one standing out. You admire the one standing out, but perhaps you don't have the assertiveness, you don't have the confidence. And all that, I must say, comes with age, it comes with experiences, it comes with failures, successes, it comes with marriage, it comes with children, it comes with great friendships. There's a whole lot of things that build upon the layers of who you are, and how you then translate that into how you take on fashion and style.
Okay. Growing up at the time that you did, there have been so many trends coming in and out. So what are some of those standout trends for you that you think were completely smart and memorable over the years?
I don't know if you can call denim a trend, because denim has been in our lives and in the sort of zeitgeist year in and year out in different ways. So for me, that has always been something that I've worn from a very young age. It was something my father wore that influenced me. So I'd say denim, whether it's double denim, whether it's long denim skirts, jeans, jean jackets. I mean, they've been there through the ages. There were trends, of course, that I don't even want to revisit anymore, like low jeans, you know, those sort of, what do they call them,
those low-cut
those low-cut jeans. I hope they never, I mean, I see the Y2K sort of aesthetic, and there are those low things. You see, I've long since decided that trends are not for me, because I think if you go with a trend, you're always going to feel like you are on the back foot. Because as soon as you adopt a trend, there's something new coming along. So of course you can take from what is happening at the moment, and you can really make it your own and continue to make it your own. I wear things from 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 10 years ago, and I don't care particularly that it's in fashion or not.
Okay, so I think I was going to ask you about that part. I mean, what are some of those, fashion moments that you'd like to bring back, if there are any? That you think, oh, that was quite nice. We did it in 1998 or something, but bring it back.
Funnily enough, I think a lot of the trends that I wore have come back. You know, shorts and cowboy boots, those sorts of girly dresses and cowboy boots, or chunky boots with those girly dresses where the sort of aesthetic is flipped and not just all girly. Kitten heels have come and gone. Brogues, chunky brogues. I think the thing that I'm not ever going to give up in terms of a trend, because it was a trend years ago and continues to be, is wearing sneakers with whatever I have. I've decided that comfort is my biggest friend, and that's what I do. So I wear comfortable things on my feet, and I'm an absolute sneakerhead. So
love it.
Yeah.
So I think there are many ways to describe you, but also, I mean, in the sense that you are very outspoken, and I think it's also in how you describe yourself, in those in the ways that you use, how bold you are, how outspoken, and how unapologetic you are, and that could somehow ruffle feathers. It's going to make other people uncomfortable. It's going to make you, because what you said about your earlier years of not wanting to stand out because you have to fit in, but when did that shift happen where you're just like, okay, this is who I am, and I'm going to speak my truth, and I'm going to say what I want to say. And also in that, because you come from a conservative, background, and also like the religious aspect of it as well, and being married, and also, when did that shift happen? Because you're political as well in your statement. Yeah.
So I think for me, it took I think sort of late 20s when I decided that I wanted to get married, have a child. I think in getting my vision to that point where I knew this was going to be a different phase of my life, but I also knew within that phase of marriage, it could go two ways. One where I was in a very sort of traditional relationship where a man controls everything and the woman doesn't, and that sort of thing. And I knew from the beginning that that was not the position I was going to take. And somehow something happened in my 30s that, they say sort of every decade brings along new things. The 30s brought on for me a confidence. It brought on, and especially also when I became a mother, I knew that I had to be the person I wanted my son to look at and go, that's the type of woman I also want to have in my life later on. So I couldn't be this retiring, quiet person. I wanted to be the strong person so that my child could see this is how it is.